150. Amongst you, the ones who are most greedily seeking for life are the ones who are only striving for enjoyment, vice, amusement, avarice, revelry, indulgence, addiction, slashness, gorging, gluttony of desires, vices, wantonness/addictions/urges, and who do not pay heed to the real truth nor to fulfillment of the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation. And indeed every one of you wishes in his or her greedy activities to be granted 1,000 years of life, in which case, however, you do not consider that even the granting of such a life would not protect you from your own atonement if you do not fulfill the sense of life that is given in the swelling growth/evolution of the inner world consciousness, and the accumulation of love, knowledge, wisdom, peace, freedom and harmony in all things. 151. Whoever is an enemy of the truth that arises from the laws and recommendations of fruitfulness creation, vilifies, prescribes, not only their fulfillment but also the messages, revelations and guidance of the proclaimers, the prophets. 152. Whoever is an enemy of the truth is also an enemy of the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation, and an enemy of the natural laws as well as an enemy of the proclaimers, the prophets. 153. Truly, the proclaimers, the prophets, of the teaching of truth, teaching of spirit, teaching of life have brought forth manifest signs, marvels/evidence, since time immemorial. And nobody denied their knowledge of this other than the wise seekers, the disobedient ones and the liars and slanderers. And as often as they concluded an agreement with the truth and the teaching, then they rejected it again because they are depraved and mendacious and truly without knowledge. 154. Even since time immemorial, when proclaimers, prophets, came to fulfill what the teaching of truth as well as the principles of the primal power creation demand them to do, very many of those to whom the teaching and the truth was given, cast all the knowledge behind them as if the teaching and the truth had never been proclaimed to them. 155. Many of them followed the path that they pursued under the dominance of agitators against the teaching of truth and the teaching of spirit as well as the teaching of life, and it was agitators who remained in unknowing and taught the people deception and falsehood. 156. And it was representatives to whom it was revealed by the proclaimers, the prophets, to instruct the unknowing ones and put them to the test and say that they shall not remain unknowing in the truth. 157. The proclaimers, the prophets, taught their representatives and the people that no one shall do harm to any other and that a distinction shall be made between man and woman in many things, but that both shall accompany one another in life with the same right, with the same entitlement and inequality, as is given by the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation. 158. It was and is taught that everything shall be desisted from which does harm and gives no benefit. Whoever acquires such things nevertheless will not have any joyful portion in life, but it is true that so many sell their happiness and their gladness for awful things, for scum and all the disasters of the world, because knowledge and truth is abhorrent to them. 159. If you would have known and acted rightly, then the reward for your present existence would certainly have been better, and your life reward would be better if you turned to the real truth and therefore to the primal power creation, and acted rightly. 160. Oh, you have fallen into belief and you say that the untruth is good, but know and hear that only truth and the true knowledge are good, whereas untruth and a knowing only bring painful misery and suffering. 161. Those who are knowing amongst the people, in the writing of the teaching of truth, and amongst those who place divinities and tin gods beside the primal power creation, they all do not wish that good is sent down on all those knowing in the real truth of the teaching of truth, but the truth choose as boon and immeasurable grace for those who are knowing in the truth. 162. Whatever signs, teachings/evidence and marvels, the proclaimers, the prophets, abrogate or allow to fall into forgetfulness. In their place they bring forth better or equivalent ones according to the new time, because the new times demand expansions to the teaching of truth and the signs, evidence and marvels. You namely become more intelligent and expand your knowledge, which is why the teaching of truth, teaching of spirit, teaching of life must be given more extensively and in greater detail in accordance with the new time and the new understanding. However, what does not change is the truthful content of the teaching, because the truth is eternal and unchanging, and the true prophets have the might to do everything in order to carry out the teaching as they consider right. However, protect yourselves from false proclaimers, false prophets who simulate wisdom but are actually less knowing than children and have fallen into the belief in some divinity or other or tin gods. 163. Do you not know that the domain of the firmament universe, and of the earth's worlds/planets, belongs to the primal power creation alone, but that you are set above all as governors, as protectors and helpers for yourselves, for all life and everything existing? 164. Do you wish to ask your proclaimers, your prophets, as the knowing ones and the wise ones asked them before, in order to avoid entering an unknowing into an exchange with a belief in divinities and tin gods, and in order not to err and out from the right path? 165. Many of the people who are not favorably disposed to the writing of the truth and to the truth wish in the enviousness of their nature, although the teaching of truth has been clearly announced, proclaimed to them, that they could discourage those of you who are yourselves knowing in the writing of the truth, and the truth itself, from your cognition of the truth and following of the truth, in order to change you back into people unknowing in the truth. But do not be angry because of this, and forgive them by proclaiming to them that it is your decision not to deviate from the truth and not to turn away from them. Because you continue to be connected to them in love, you have the might to do so. 166. Do your duty and fulfill your responsibility, which can only be carried by yourselves and not by a god or ten gods on your behalf. Therefore also give alms gifts to the people in need and send out goodness from yourselves, because you will find it again as thanks from those to whom you give your help, and truly, your goodness and your help will be appreciated, because the people of your kind, human beings, will see what you are doing. 167. The believers in a god and in tin gods say that believers in other things who are not of their belief will not enter the firmament's paradise realm of gods and tin gods. But such talk only represents false teachings and vain wishes of those who are going into confusion and belief and erroneously hope that a god or tin god might live in a firmament's paradise realm of gods and tin gods. Indeed, this is an evil, fallacious teaching for which the ones who are guilty of belief can never provide truthful evidence. 168. Whoever entirely falls in line with the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation, and the laws of appearance nature, will receive an appropriate reward for all time and equitableness, fairness, and will have no anxiety and not be afraid, nor will they fall into false sorrow. 169. The ones who believe in a god and tin gods say that people who believe otherwise have no basis for their belief, and the ones who believe otherwise say that the others have no basis for their belief, although they both read the writings of their respective belief, which all say that they shall also be equivalent and tolerant in belief, and in accordance with their speaking. So spoke those already who did not have any knowledge of the writings, therefore they judged incorrectly amongst themselves, because they were disunited amongst themselves. 170. And who is more inequitable, more irresponsible / more unfair, than those who pile dishonor and ignominy on their next ones in belief in a god or ten gods? They are the same as the inequitable ones, unfair ones, who prevent the real truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation from being taught through the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life, because they are striving to destroy it. And truly, it is not appropriate to do such a thing, because it is without respect and in ignominy in this world. but those who do such a thing will not reap any good reward.